Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a really fascinating journey into some sources about a very unique, kind of complex spiritual doctrine. Our mission is to unpack this text, identified as a channeled dictation. Messages believed to be sent supernaturally.
Right, from non-physical beings.
Exactly. From a group calling itself the Elemental Grace Alliance. We want to deconstruct its claims, put it in context, and help you understand what makes it different.
And what's really fascinating here, I think, is how it takes traditional religious ideas, sort of turns them on their head, and then gives these very specific, action-based instructions to followers. Yeah, claiming they come from ascended masters and archangels. It's quite a mix of esoteric thought, constantly reframing things.
Okay, let's dive into that. The core prophecy seems to be this birth of the new earth. What does that actually mean for people following this?
Well, it's fundamentally millenarian idea,
Yeah.
Belief in a coming golden age, a big transformation. They stated the new Earth was set to be born on Christmas Day 2018. But crucially, it's not presented as an apocalypse or judgment.
Oh, interesting. So more positive.
Exactly. A positive collective transition supposedly enabled by humans, leading to a new sphere of light.
Human-enabled, wow.
Yeah, where perfection of life not seen here for millions of years would appear, and beings like masters, the angelic hosts, the Elohim, could walk among you.
Walk among us.
And the really intriguing part, they claim this new reality starts from the black light, that place of nothingness, which is, a very deep esoteric concept, primordial void, that kind of thing.
That is bold.
Yeah.
A human-enabled new earth from nothingness.
Okay.
And speaking of bold claims, you mentioned redefining concepts. It gets pretty radical with the Immaculate Conception.
Oh, absolutely. This is where it gets, I think, really innovative. They redefine it from, the singular Catholic event into something universal, repeatable.
Repeatable.
It's about holding in the thoughts and feelings the divine pattern. That's their term for the blueprint for life.
Okay.
So what this does effectively is it democratizes creation. It's not a one-off miracle anymore. It becomes this accessible process driven by humans.
So followers become, co-creators?
Precisely. Co-creators with the divine. It's a fundamental shift. You're not just receiving grace, you're actively involved through what they call creative knowing.
That idea of being co-creators actively shaping things?
Wow.
That's powerful. But it doesn't just stay personal or spiritual, right? You said it gets into geopolitical stuff. Real-world action.
It really does. Followers are told they're now part of the authority of a new world government.
Wow, okay.
And spiritual warriors of the light. The text actually tells them to use something called the sacred fire presence, like a divine energy or invocation.
To do what?
To annihilate their word. Things like immoral, criminal, or iniquitous activities. And it specifically calls out communistic activity in society.
Annihilate. Using spiritual fire, that's intense. It connects the spiritual directly to, political restructuring.
It's a very direct fusion, yeah. Personal power is scaled up to a global restructuring mission.
So this isn't just about, inner peace. It's about changing the world order.
Yeah.
Using the sacred fire. Does the text give any ethical rules for using that power?
It mainly talks about the scope and the targets. The authority comes from their divine connection, is the implication. Less about detailed ethics, more about the power of these spiritual warriors. And this worldview even gets very specific geographically, especially about California.
Right. So how does this big spiritual mission actually touch the ground? Physically?
Well, they link the future rising of Lemuria, the mythical lost continent, to tectonic plates under Northern California, specifically the Cascadia Zone, that big fault line.
Seriously? So they're meant to influence earthquakes?
They're told to use invocations to implement and realign the land's divine template and release of pressures around the Cascadia Zone. They even pinpoint cities: San Juan Capistrano, Monterey, ancient temples of Lemuria, San Diego, Mount Shasta, main chakras. Their HQ is supposedly between Sacramento and Mount Shasta. It's like a whole spiritual map laid over California.
It's incredibly detailed. To really get this, we probably need to look at its origins. This didn't just appear out of nowhere, did it? It sounds like it has roots in other movements.
Oh, definitely not isolated. It's clearly in the lineage of theosophy from the late 19th century, and then the I Am activity from the early 20th.
Ah, okay. The I Am movement.
Exactly. Key figures like Saint Germain pop up again, concepts like the mighty I Am presence, the use of decrees, those rhythmic prayers. It's all there.
Right, the decrees.
And that famous story of Saint Germain meeting Guy Ballard on Mount Shasta, that's central to this whole tradition. You see the direct line.
Okay, that context helps a lot. Now, before we finish, it feels really important to make sure people don't mix this group up with others. There are similar names out there, right?
Absolutely critical, yeah. If you're looking this up, you might see the Free Grace Alliance. That's an evangelical Christian group. Or the Mental Health Grace Alliance, a Christian ministry. Even the Elemental Group, which does church consulting.
Totally different things.
Completely different. Our source, the Elemental Grace Alliance, is specifically this esoteric group. Based on channeled messages, ascended masters with a unique mission totally separate from those other organizations. Names can be confusing, but the substance is worlds apart.
Good distinction to make. So wrapping up, what's the big takeaway here? The Elemental Grace Alliance discourse, it's this complex mix of prophecy, personal empowerment, and these huge geopolitical, even geophysical goals.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the big picture, it's a system where the theology justifies the practices, and the practices are meant to enact the prophecy. It gives followers not just, personal enlightenment, but this really direct world-shaping role, a grand mission.
It is pretty remarkable, connecting the deeply personal feeling and power to the absolutely massive, like changing governments or shifting tectonic plates. It really leaves you thinking, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What does it say about that ongoing human drive, maybe that deep need to feel like we can influence our destiny, both spiritually and, well, physically, especially when things feel challenging globally? Lots to chew on there. We hope this deep dive gave you some surprising insights and maybe a shortcut to getting informed.